ewo papa yo na mumbra womo ade a enye na mune nkunimdifo. Quran chapter 3 surah Al-Imran verse 104 ne senti ena ekuru Muslim Access Movement.
Allahu Akbar.
Wallahi al-Jannah to Firdaus is our limit, inshallah. Amen.
Allahu Akbar.
Wallahi al-Jannah to Firdaus is our limit, inshallah. Amen.
Nam hi ma'am online radio and TV program ni Ideal Muslimahs show where your English version about wa kwem kusiada anopa e bono nkono a em say ti for mo de be che kanea ne bo nani kakra ti ye dan ye ho afi de ejina so nti ye beto aso afri bibia ye duru ye na Mallamah to aso ma inshallah.
Okay. So when she grew up to a certain level, she was taken under the care of Zachariah. And then Zachariah also was a carpenter who built a mihrab or a chamber for her in the mosque where she is supposed to live and then do her servitude or do her zikr and then be remembering Allah. So while she was there once, Zachariah came to visit her and then he came and met her with fruits and foods that were out of seasons. So Zachariah asked her, "Oh, Ya Maryam, oh Maryam, where did you get from this or from where are these from?" And then she said, "This is from Allah and Allah gives to whoever he wishes." So as young as she was able to give this answer to Zachariah, who was a prophet. He was a prophet of Allah. She gave him the answer that Allah provided this to her and then Allah provides for whoever he wishes. So after getting this answer from Maryam, this was Zachariah then did. Already Zachariah was having a challenge of childbearing, or he and his wife they were old and they couldn't give birth to any child. So when he heard this, then he turned to his Lord. Hunalika da'a Zachariah rabba qala rabbi hab li min ladunka dhurriyatan tayyiba innaka sami'ud du'a. Verse 38.
And that Zachariah called upon his Lord, saying, "My Lord, grant me from yourself a good offspring. Indeed, you are the hearer of supplications."
So after he chatted with Maryam, and then Maryam told him Allah grants whatever he wants to whoever he wishes. So this gingered him, and he turned to Allah and he said, "Oh Allah, grant me from your grace an offspring or a goodly offspring." Because Maryam has already told him Allah grants whoever he wishes, because you are the one who grants to whoever you wishes. And then indeed Allah also heard his prayer, and then he granted him a child named Yahya. And so that is how the story of Yahya continued. Because I'm not talking about Zachariah and Yahya today, so I will not go into their story. I will again turn to Nana Maryam. So let's see in Surah Al-Imran verse 42 to 43. In verse 42, angel came to Nana Maryam. He said, وَإِذْ قَالَتِ الْمَلَائِكَةِ يَا مَرْيَمْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ اصْطَفَاكِ وَطَهَّرَكِ وَاصْطَفَاكِ عَلَى نِسَاءِ الْعَالَمِينَ. Verse 42.
Let's read Surah Al-Imran, verse 42. It goes, "And mention when the angel said, 'O Mary, indeed Allah has chosen you and purified you and chosen you above all the women of the world.'"
So the angel came and told Nana Maryam that Allah has chosen her and made her pure, and he has also exalted her above all the women in this world. So Allah has chosen Maryam, and he made her pure above all of us as women in this world. So of course it is this thing. it is on us to take example from her, since she is above all of us in this world, and due to her purity. So this purity, we are going to say, like, what is it? Or this purity is the same as chastity. So as a woman, you must try your best and be chaste, or you have to be chaste. Although in this modern era, it may be like something very difficult, because in many sectors of, like, even when you are going to school, sectors of this thing, education, and then even work sectors and this thing, there are a lot of obstacles which will like hinder our this thing. We're trying to guard our chastity. So we have to, but we still have to try our best and then guard our chastity, because if you look into the community today, it is a very sad thing, or it is a pity that a lot of our young ladies, they give birth out of wedlock, and it is even the trend, and people are not even ashamed of doing that, and they do that comfortably. Meanwhile, Allah praised Maryam, and then He exalted her above all women due to her purity, or due to her chastity. So, do we think if we are not chaste, Allah will like us, or He will also exalt us, and also exalt us as how He exalted Nana Maryam, because He exalted her due to her purity. And if we are not trying to follow her footsteps, or if we are not trying to also remain chaste till we get married, or to remain chaste and not do anything which will lead us to unchaste, then Allah will like us as He liked Nana Maryam. So continuing with her story, in Surah Al-Imran again, verse 43.
Verse 43.
Yes.
O Mary, be devotedly obedient to your Lord, and prostrate and bow with those who bow in prayer.
So here Allah is telling Maryam to pray, or she should remember Him. She should not, although she is always remembering Him, during that time, it's like the men, where they do the prayers and the distance, it is only for the men, and they go to that temple to pray. But then Allah told Maryam to go and join them and bow with those who bow. So she also went there and she bowed with those who bow. And after listening to what Allah told her, or after obeying Allah, let's see what Allah did to her, how Allah exalted her in this world. And verse 45. وَإِذْ قَالَتِ الْمَلَائِكَةُ يَا مَرْيَمُ إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُبَشِّرُكِ بِكَلِمَةٍ مِّنْهُ اسْمُهُ مَسِيحُ عِيسَى بْنُ مَرْيَمَ وَجِيهًا فِي الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ وَمِنَ الْمُقَرَّبِينَ. Verse 45.
And mention when the angel said, O Mary, indeed Allah gives you good tidings of a word from Him, whose name will be the Messiah, Jesus, the Son of Mary, distinguished in the world and the hereafter, and among those brought near to Allah.
So, due to her purity and obedience to Allah, then Allah gave her the glad tidings of giving birth to a child. She's going to give birth to a child without a husband. So it is a miracle, a great miracle from Allah, that she will give birth to a child who is honored in this world, and then He is the Messiah, or Messiah Isa ibn Maryam. In other words, Jesus, and our fellow Christians take them as their God and this thing. But then Allah only granted her this glad tidings, or this good thing, due to her purity, because Isa is a prophet, and then Allah wanted to make his chain, or where he came from, very pure and noble, and then He chose Maryam to give birth to Isa, and then He also made her give birth to him miraculously. And there are these things, some even Muslims or Muslims of some sectors who don't believe that Nana Maryam gave birth to Jesus alone, like without a husband or this thing. But then if we don't believe this way, then we are trying to say the Quran is
trying to challenge the
Quran. Because if Jesus had a father, or Nana Maryam got married to a man, then in the Quran Allah will not be mentioning Isa ibn Maryam, Isa the son of Maryam. He would rather mention Isa the son of his father. He would mention his father's name. But he was always mentioning Isa ibn Maryam, Isa ibn Maryam. And the story is also said in the Quran. Plain. There is no distance that it is a miracle. Allah sent the angel and then he breathed into her and then she gave birth to Isa. So there should not be any challenge because it is clear in the Quran. If the Christians want to believe it that way, and they have that thing, that way of even with them, the way they believe it, it doesn't even make this thing like sense. Because if Jesus is God, then we will ask, then who gave birth to his mother, or who is his mother? Because if the mother of God should be more than God or something like that. But if Jesus is God, then meaning Jesus is not this thing. How you say? He is not strong enough to be able to create. Because who were there before he was born? Those who were there before he was born, who created them? If Jesus is really God, so we have to always ponder on this thing because it's not logic to take like Jesus as God. And even if we want to take him as a miraculous something, or because he was born without a father, then what of Adam? Adam was born without a mother and father. So what about him? I can say his miracle is even more than Jesus. So what about him? Yes. What do we take him for? Or what do we take him as when we take Jesus as God? So we should try and eliminate this ideology from us, and then we pray Allah guide our fellow Christians to understand the truth and then also turn back to Islam. And then in Surah Al-Imran, verse 45. Verse 45. Okay, we read that one. 46. Verse 46. 46. That وَيُكَلِّمُ النَّاسَ فِي الْمَهْدِ وَكَهْلًا وَمِنَ الصَّالِحِينَ.
He will speak to the people in the cradle and in maturity, and will be of the righteous. Okay.
And that Jesus will speak to people in cradle.
Yes.
And again, this thing too, there are again some Muslims who deny it or doubt it, saying, no, Jesus did not speak in cradle. He spoke when he matured. Real Muslims, so some sects in Islam who have this thing. But then the Quran has said he spoke in cradle. And even if you go back to Surah Maryam, you will see when she came with him while he was suckling, she pointed him and then he stopped suckling and he said, so a mature child will not suckle. It is a child who is in cradle that will suckle. So we should pay heed to the Quran, and then we should just stop doubting whatever the Quran says. Again, in Surah.
Well, it should be noted out that if you find those sects disbelieving in this message, it means that yes, you have to run away from them. Yes, it's a serious thing, challenging the verses of the Quran.
Now, I'd like to move to Surah Maryam, verse 16 to 34.
Surah Maryam. It's like 19.
Yes.
Okay.
In Surah Maryam, verse 16. It says, وَاذْكُرْ فِي الْكِتَابِ مَرْيَمَ إِذِ انْتَبَذَتْ مِنْ أَهْلِهَا مَكَانًا شَرْقِيًّا. The English version.
Producer, sitting on my lap is trying to Okay, I have it.
Verse 16.
Verse 16. And mention when in the book the story of Mary, when she withdrew from her family to a place towards the east.
Yes.
That's 16.
Okay. So this is when Nana Maryam when she first experienced her menstruation, she withdrew from the mosque and then she went to a place to clean herself or to be pure, so that before she will be able to come back to the mosque, because you cannot be impure when you are in the mosque. So she left the place and went to the far east. Then فاتخذت من دونهم حجابا فأرسلنا إليها روحنا فتمثل لها بشرا سويا.
17.
Yes.
And she took in seclusion from them a screen. Okay. Then we sent to her our angel, that is Angel Gabriel, and he represented himself to her as a well-proportioned man.
So when she went out to clean herself, then she used a curtain or something to cover herself or to cover the place so that she will clean herself and then become back to be pure again. But then Allah sent Angel Gabriel and he came to her as a man. Now let's see, as young as she was, when she saw Angel Gabriel, what was the answer she gave him, or what did she first say to him? She said, قالت إني أعوذ بالرحمن منك إن كنت تقيا.
18.
Yes.
She said, indeed, I seek refuge in the most merciful from you. So leave me, if you should be fearing of Allah.
So when she just saw him, she didn't know who he was. She was not having the idea that he was an angel. So she just said she seek refuge from Allah, from you. He is a strange man and she doesn't know him. So she became scared, and then the only being she thought will save her from this man was Allah. So now it is again an example to our ladies out there. We hear a lot about this thing, maybe rape case and this thing and all these things. We should put in mind that sometimes it is a test from Allah, and sometimes even your response will help you in such situations. When someone approaches you and you don't know the person, or the person is not your mahram, the person is your mahram, and then you don't have any you don't have any knowledge about who the person is, then we should first seek refuge from Allah, from the person, because it may even be a devil who has changed into a human being just to destroy us. So we have to be firm in this situation, seeking from Allah, always seeking refuge from Allah. If it is praises, we should praise Allah instead of seeking refuge from other people or seeking other people to help us when we are in a tight situation like this. Then when she said it, then the angel replied that قال إنما أنا رسول ربك لأهب لك غلاما زكيا.
He said, I am only a messenger of your Lord to give you news of a pure boy.
So it's like he came, Allah sent him to come and give her the glad tidings of a pure boy, a child she's going to give birth to. Then she said, قالت أنا يكون لي غلام ولم يمسسني بشر ولم أك بغيا.
She said, how can I give a boy while no man has touched me and I have not been unchaste?
So she was trying to clear herself, or to talk to express herself and say, how can she give birth to a child when she has not had any sexual intercourse with anyone? And then she's also chaste. She was not unchaste. She's a chaste. She's a pure person. She has not had any illegal sexual intercourse with anyone. So how can she bear a child? Then he said, قال كذلك قال ربك هو علي حي ولنجعله آية للناس ورحمة منا وكان أمرا مقضيا.
He said, thus your Lord says, it is easy for me, and we will make him a sign to the people and a mercy from us, and it is a matter already decreed.
Yes. So the angel said, it is this is what Allah has has ordained, or if Allah has made has ordained something, then it will surely happen, because he only needs to say be and then it will be kun fayakun. So this is what Allah has ordained and it will happen, and then he is going to be a sign to mankind, and then also a mercy from Allah to us. So it has already been decreed, so she has nothing to say against it or something. Then فَحَمَلَتْهُ فَانْتَبَذَتْ بِهِ مَكَانًا قَصِيًّا.
So she conceived him, and she withdrew him to a remote place.
So she conceived this thing. That same moment she conceived Isa alayhi salatu wasalam. It is not mentioned as she conceived him for 9 months. It is said it is a miracle, because she conceived him at that very moment, and her stomach was protruded at that very moment. So in the next verse it says, فأجاءها المخاض إلى جذع النخلة قالت يا ليتني مت قبل هذا وكنت نسيا منسيا.
And the pains of childbirth drove her to the trunk of a palm tree. She said, "Oh, I wish I had died before this," and was in oblivion, forgotten.
So here, there are two distinct commentaries or tafsirs regarding this verse. The first tafsir says, due to the pain of birth, or due to the pain of this labor. That's why she said that she wished she had died before all this thing, because we all know childbirth is not it's not an easy thing. Even it can lead to death and a lot of things. It's not easy thing, because when we go to the hospital and we even pass by the labor hall, the screams of mothers is not easy. So one tafsir says it's due to the childbirth. The other tafsir said it's because after she gave birth, she was having this thing. She didn't have the strength to meet her people with the child, because they know she was chaste. So, like, thinking of what people would say to her, that made her said those words. She wished she had died before all this happened to her. Then فَنَادَاهَا مِنْ تَحْتِهَا أَلَّا تَحْزَنِي قَدْ جَعَلَ رَبُّكِ تَحْتَكِ سَرِيًّا. But
he called her from below her, "Do not grieve, your Lord has provided beneath you a stream." That's 24.
Yes. So the angel said, "Don't grieve. Under you there is a stream," and it is also a distinct miracle of Allah, because now it is now that scientists have proven that when a person is in labor and then he is put in water, it's like the pains is like reduced. So it is also a miracle from Allah, which has been said 1,400 years ago, and then it is now that scientists were able to. So this stream beneath her is to make her pain, her labor pain, reduced. That's why the angel came and told her that Allah has put beneath you a stream, so don't grieve. And then she said, فَنَادَاهَا مِنْ تَحْتِهَا أَلَّا تَحْزَنِي. That وَهُزِّي إِلَيْكَ بِجِزْءِ النَّخْلَةِ تُسَاقِطُ عَلَيْكَ رُطُبًا جَنِيًّا. Shake the trunk of the...
And shake towards you the trunk of the palm tree. It will drop upon you ripe, fresh dates.
Okay.
That's 25.
Yes. Again, it is also another miracle, because it is now that we know of that thing. When a child is born freshly, it is said you should put a date or like you should make a date into a soft thing. You should chew date when it is very soft, then you put it in the child's mouth. It helps a lot. There are a lot of, even scientists have proven now that it has a lot of benefits, and they have mentioned a lot of like lots of its benefits. Meanwhile, after the birth of Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, Allah provided this for her because of its benefits, and it wasn't known during these days. Meanwhile, Allah has already mentioned it in the Quran. It's just recently that scientists were able to provide it. And then the next verse said, فَكُلِي وَاشْرَبِي وَقَرِّي عَيْنًا فَإِمَّا تَرَيِنَّ مِنَ الْبَشَرِ أَحَدٍ فَكُولِي إِنِّي نَذَرْتُ لِلرَّحْمَنِ صَوْمًا فَلَنْ أُكَلِّمَ الْيَوْمَ إِنسِيًّا. Verse 26.
So eat and drink and be contented. And if you see any among humanity, anyone, say, indeed, I have vowed to the most merciful to abstention, so I will not speak today to any man.
So after Allah have provided her with the dates and the stream, he told her she should eat from the dates and drink. And when she is going back to her people, whoever sees her and asks her of the child, she should say she has vowed not to talk to anyone today. Like she has fasted, she will not talk to anyone today. And because Allah will will prove her innocence in another way around. Then فَأَتَتْ بِهِ قَوْمَهَا تَحْمِلُ قَالُوا يَا مَرْيَمُ لَقَدْ جِئْتَ شَيْئًا فَرِيًّا. 27.
Then she brought him to her people, carrying him. They said, "O Mary, you have certainly done a thing unprecedented."
So when she read the people, she came to her people. Then they started talking. Like they said what she feared. "Oh people, oh Maryam, you've done something, like you've done a disaster. because they know her to be a very chaste and pure lady. So how come this happened? They were all in shock and this thing. Then she said, they said again, Ya Ukhta Haruna, ma kana abuki mra'a sawin wa ma kanat ummuki baghiya.
28. Oh sister, descendant of Aaron, your father was not a man of evil, nor was your mother unchaste.
So here they were emphasizing her family,
Yes.
her background.
Descendant.
Yes. So she's a descendant of the prophet Harun. They said, your father was not an evil man and your mother was not unchaste. So we can see that here as parents, you have to make your background, or you yourself, you have to make yourself into pure or good people, that whenever people are going to talk about your children or they want to compare your children to you, they will say good things about you, not say like bad thing, or because if maybe their mother was not chaste and she was unchaste, then I don't think even people will be talking about her that, oh, how come you committed this? Because they may even tease her and say, already your mother is this and that, and you are also following the footsteps of your mother. But because the mother was chaste and the father was not an evil man, they emphasize the characteristics of a parent, saying your mother is not evil, and your father is not evil, and your mother is not chaste. So how come you brought these disastrous things to us? Then she replied,
okay,
in verse 29.
So she pointed to him. They said, how can we speak to one who is in a cradle, a child?
Mm-hmm. So because Maryam has already vowed not to speak, so Allah told her, or Allah gave her the wisdom to point to the child whenever they asked her of where about the child. So she pointed the child, and then the people who were also in shock said, how can we speak to one who is in cradle, or a mere child, or someone who is not mature, someone who is still suckling? So here it is also a proof of what people are saying, that Jesus didn't speak when he was in this thing and this thing, because it is clear here. And he said, "Qala inni Abdullah atani al-kitaba wa ja'alani nabiyya."
Jesus said, indeed, I am a servant of Allah. He has given me a scripture and made me a prophet.
So Jesus then turned and he said, I am a servant of Allah. He has granted me with the scripture, which is the Injil, the Testament,
Yes.
Bible. And then he will make me a prophet. So this one too is a clear distinction. It is unfortunate that the Christians don't believe the Quran, even though it is a book from Allah. If not, it is a clear distinction that Jesus here said he is a prophet of Allah, and then he will be given a book. He didn't say he is the Lord or he is something. He said he is the prophet of Allah, and he will be granted a book. And then وَجَعَلَنِي مُبَارَكًا أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُ وَأَوْصَانِي بِالصَّلَاةِ وَالزَّكَاةِ مَا دُمْتُ حَيًّا.
And he has made me blessed wherever I am, and has enjoined upon me prayer and zakat as long as I remain alive.
Okay. So Jesus again is saying Allah has blessed him wherever he is, and he has enjoined him to pray, to make salat, and then to give zakat as long as he lives. So we have to know that prayer, and in the pillars of Islam, prayer and zakah, they have a very distinct high position, because prayer is the first pillar we know, and the second pillar, which is Ramadan, there are some obstacles which can deny you from fasting, maybe if you are sick or something. But zakat, if you are having or your money reaches the nisab, then it is a must for you to give out the zakat. You can't give any excuses. Then وَبَرًّا بِوَالِدَتِي وَلَمْ يَجْعَلْنِي جَبَّارًا شَقِيًّا.
And made me dutiful to my mother, and he has not made me a wretched tyrant.
Okay. So here we can see that after the salat and zakat, he did not move on saying something towards Allah or giving the rest of the pillars of Islam, but he said Allah has made him dutiful to his mother. So we can see that even being obedient and being dutiful to your mother is also a very great thing in sight of Allah. We have to be dutiful to our parents. So like this is a story of Nana Maryam. I'm talking about Nana Maryam, so I don't want to move so that it will enter into the story of Jesus and this thing.
Yes.
So now, what are some of the lessons we learned from Nana Maryam? One, the big lesson we learned from her is her chastity, and then her servanthood, or how she devoted herself to the service of Allah. Now, chastity. So, as I said today, there are a lot of obstacles, and sometimes some of the obstacles we are those who have created. We created those obstacles ourselves. For instance, this television and internet is a very great disadvantage to us, especially ladies, in terms of what we see, what we watch, and this thing, or what we hear. If you look at the television programs today, there are a lot. Like most of the actors, they normally dress half naked, or the message they tell us is not like Islamic or something. They always tell the message always carries immoral things, acts. So like this internet, it is leading us, it is leading our people and our ladies out there to do this immoral acts and unchastity. And another thing is this thing, the kind of friends we follow, or our peers. The peer pressure, like what are the advice or the kind of friend you choose to follow will also affect your disinterest, either positively or negatively. If you choose to follow people who don't mind moving around with strange men and having close interact with strange men, then it is likely you follow her footsteps, because it is said even in a Disney, show me your friend and I'll show you your character. So if you have a friend of such nature, of course you will be inclined to follow her, or to be also take follow her footsteps and take examples from her, because you move together. So we have to be very careful with the kind of friends we take, the kind of friend we choose, the kind of friend. What is she teaching you? Is she teaching you to be chaste or unchaste, and this thing? And again, young men too harassing women, they will not lower their gaze. Meanwhile, Allah has told them to lower their gazes. They will not lower their gaze, and they will always harass women. Some will chase the ladies and this thing. We are all ladies. We've run through all this thing, but as a lady too, you have to be strong. And whenever you are being chased, you have to be strong, and then force yourself to excuse yourself wherever you see such people or such this kind of people, and then to also protect yourself from being into or being alone in a closed place with strange men. Whenever you are going, even if you are passing there and you see that this place is always quiet and there are always strange men just around, you should try and be in a group. Don't pass there alone, or you should change your route, because you don't know what Shaitan will put in their mind and what they can do to you at that particular moment. So we should always try to protect ourselves first. We should seek Allah's protection, then we should also try our best and do whatever we can do to protect ourselves. And again, as I said earlier, the sectors, education sectors, today it is a very pity that whenever you go to seek for a job, even the boss will wish to have something to have a sexual relation with you before offering the job to you. And it is also unfortunate that our women out there, due to the fear of being jobless or not having the means to do some petty things, they also offer themselves to these men just to use them, so that they will get the job and this thing. So it is a very pity thing. I would like to end my topic here, and also I would like to advise women to remain firm, and then also to plead with the men to lower their gazes and stop harassing the women out there. And then the women should be strong enough to be boldly to say no to immoral sex, because being chaste, there are a lot of advantages one can gain from being chaste. You can prevent yourself from unwanted pregnancy. These days, ladies out there, when they get pregnant and they don't want to do, they end up aborting the child, which is killing. You are becoming a mother because you were not chaste, because you couldn't abstain, or you couldn't stop yourself from getting into this thing, an immoral sexuality. So we should try our best and abstain from this thing. You can even contract this thing, STDs, sexually transmitted diseases, HIV and the rest, which are hard to cure, or even some cannot be cured. So to protect yourself from all this illness, you should just abstain from this thing. Wait till you get married. Don't be pushing. The funny thing these days is that women don't like to get married earlier, but they just want to engage themselves in sexual relations earlier, which is very bad. If you think you are ready to engage in any sexual relation, then it's better you get married and you stop telling any man that he should stop. No, you are not ready to get married. I want to continue my education. I want to do this. I want to do that. Meanwhile, you are ready to engage in sexual relation. So we should try our best and then be strong in this aspect, because it is a very bad thing, and then it can even this thing call upon us the wrath of Allah. Even though the prophets, we are in the ummah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Allah is so merciful to us, but I said our behaviors today will make Allah angry with us, and then the wrath of Allah will come. We pray that Allah forgive our shortcomings and then also protect us from the evil of men, inshallah.
Now, yes. In the microphone, we can hear you.
There are a lot of lessons.
Now,
I was very happy when she mentioned Maryam prayers.
yes, the prayers of
Yeah,
Maryam.
when she saw the angel, thinking that the man maybe will be a wicked person coming to harass her.
Now,
Yeah, I can relate that incident to that of Sarah,
Sarah.
Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam's wife.
Okay.
When that wicked king wanted to touch her,
Okay.
she prayed. She prayed to Almighty Allah, and Allah also protected her. I think anytime the man wanted to touch her,
Yes, yes.
he shivered and paralyzed. You see the importance of prayer.
Modern day stroke.
That's right. And even a scholar told us about a story where a Muslim met an enemy. The man wanted to kill him. He told him, I'm going to kill you, and nobody can save you from me.
Allahu Akbar.
He asked the man, allow me to perform 2 rakahs
Wow.
to Almighty Allah before
You
you
killed
kill
him.
me. Yeah, he agreed. So in his sujood, he prayed to Almighty Allah, oh Allah, you alone can save me from this wicked man.
Allahu Akbar.
And before the man could raise up his head, instantly he saw a man who struck that enemy dead.
Allahu Akbar.
He asked, who are you? He said, I'm man from God. So I was very happy when she mentioned that. So,
Yes, yes.
and he was talking about the importance of ladies protecting their virginity,
Yes, their chastity.
their chastity. And also mentioned the challenges. And it is true. I don't know.
The
that's
temptations.
the temptation. The harassment from men
Yes.
or sectors. All sectors we can say. If a lady want to become a police, a soldier, even admission to some institutions, they have to offer themselves to some people before getting the admission. It's very, very, very unfortunate. And she gave us a weapon, or she gave them a weapon. That is supplication.
Yes.
Before
Be prayerful.
Be prayerful. Before you call help from creature, you call the creator himself. He created all these people. So fasting and prayers
Yes.
will save our ladies from this harassment.
We'll
and
make
rape
Allah
cases.
listen to your
Inshallah.
prayers anytime you
we
call
thank
upon
her,
Him.
we thank her very much.
Yes.
And our ladies out there should take this advice.
Inshallah.
Yeah, breaking your virginity, there are a lot of disadvantages.
Yes.
In fact,
It comes with a lot of
yeah,
disadvantages.
diseases, even when you are in marriage, that is where the
The temptation
trouble starts.
it becomes bigger.
Yeah, if the man discover that you are breaking your virginity before. Sometimes, well, I will not go into details.
You kind of lose some form of dignity and respect. Okay, I have a mom online radio and TV program near Ideal Muslimahs Show English version. About wakwem kwesiada no pabia. Yene Mallamah Mardiya Mustapha any media. And I heard a story of Maryam. A very deep topic pa na ubi a ohwe bia who say in fact abawum yamma na fa bitimi aboa wo mo papa ma wonsa so na wo mpaya temptation bia e fa no mema famu no Nyankopɔn itimi tie instantly inshallah na memoaye o manenye mane mayenye asɛm ne tiefo nko mayenye asɛm ne yofo inshallah yɛdan yɛ ho aba yɛba programs akatoatoa so da sɛ nɛ yɛbɛtoa program yi so yɛda mo ase ɛne mo nte ase kanea na ɛbɔ n'ani no momfa nkyɛ yɛn sɛdeɛ yɛde bia yɛsika no sometimes yɛhia sponsorship a yɛde bɛtotɔ electricity ne other things ɛde stream ama yɛ nyinaa yɛtumi ahwɛ bi ɛna me producer a ɔte me na so nso asɛ duru baabi na ɔwɔ ha adwen kakra no nso momfa nkyɛ yɛ usiano producer one to inshallah ibishia assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh
Allahu Akbar.
Wallahi, al-jannatu fi daws is our limit, inshallah. Amen.